On the night of May 14, 2008, a 19-year-old college student was driving home after celebrating the end of the school year with friends. Just before 2 a.m., he called his parents. He told them he had accidentally driven into a ditch. He wasn't injured. He simply needed help getting home. For the next 47 minutes, Brandon remained on the phone with his father while his parents searched for him in the darkness of rural Minnesota. Then, without warning, Brandon interrupted himself mid-conversation. "Oh, shit." Those were the last words anyone ever heard him say. More than 15 years later, nobody knows what happened next. To understand why this case remains so haunting, you have to start with Brandon himself. Brandon Swanson was from Marshall, Minnesota. After graduating from Marshall High School in 2007, he enrolled at Minnesota West Community and Technical College in Canby, where he studied wind turbines. By May of 2008, classes had ended for the academic year. Like many college students, Brandon decided to celebrate. On the evening of May 13th, he attended gatherings with friends in Canby. Witnesses reported seeing him consume alcohol during the evening, although friends later said he did not appear visibly intoxicated. Eventually, the celebrations came to an end. Before midnight, Brandon got into his Chevrolet Lumina and began the roughly 30-mile drive home to Marshall. It should have been a routine trip. Instead, it would become one of Minnesota's most enduring mysteries. Just before 2 a.m., Brandon called his parents. He explained that he had accidentally driven off the road and into a ditch. The vehicle wasn't badly damaged. He wasn't hurt, but he couldn't get the car out. Brandon told his parents he believed he was near the town of Lind, roughly 7 miles southwest of Marshall. His mother, Annette, and father, Brian, immediately got into their pickup truck and headed out to find him. They stayed on the phone with Brandon the entire time. At first, the situation seemed straightforward. Brandon remained near his vehicle. His parents drove toward what they believed was his location. To help locate one another, Brandon flashed his headlights. His parents did the same. Yet despite their efforts, neither side could see the other. The longer it continued, the stranger it became. Brandon was convinced he knew where he was. His parents were equally convinced he wasn't there. Both sides searched. Both sides looked for lights. Both sides remained confused. Eventually, Brandon decided to leave the vehicle. In the distance, he could see lights. Those lights led him to believe that Lynn was nearby. He told his father he was going to walk toward them. The plan was simple. Brian would drive to the parking lot of a local bar in Lynn and wait for him there. Meanwhile, Brandon would walk. And throughout it all, they stayed connected by phone. As Brandon walked through the darkness, he described his surroundings to his father. At times the call dropped, at times it resumed. But for nearly an hour, the conversation continued. Then came the moment that would define the entire case. At approximately 2:30 in the morning, 47 minutes into the call, Brandon suddenly interrupted himself. "Oh, shit." Then silence. Brian remained on the line. He called out to his son. Nothing. He continued listening. Still nothing. The connection had not ended. The phone line remained open. But Brandon never spoke again. Eventually, the call disconnected. His parents immediately tried calling him back. Again and again. No answer. Brandon Swanson has never been seen or heard from since. At daybreak, his parents reported him missing. But the response they received only added to their frustration. They were told that it was not particularly unusual for young men Brandon's age to stay out all night after the end of the school year. One officer reportedly referred to it as Brandon's right to be missing. As the hours passed, however, it became increasingly clear that something was wrong. Authorities began examining Brandon's cell phone records, and that is when investigators discovered a major problem. Brandon wasn't where he thought he was. The records showed that his phone had been operating near Porter, Minnesota, not Lynn. The location was roughly 25 miles away from where Brandon believed himself to be. Suddenly, the entire search area shifted. Investigators focused on the area around Porter and State Highway 68. There, they found Brandon's abandoned Chevrolet Lumina. The vehicle sat in a ditch along a gravel road near the Lincoln County line. The discovery answered one question, but it created several more. The car was not heavily damaged. There was nothing unusual inside. The doors were open. The keys were missing. And due to the gravel and grass surrounding the scene, investigators found no tracks that could reveal which direction Brandon had gone. It was as though he had simply vanished into the darkness. Authorities continued narrowing down his last known movements. Investigators determined that Brandon's cell phone signal had been routed through a tower near the town of Minnesota. Search teams concentrated their efforts within a 5-mile radius of that tower. The terrain was searched from the ground and from the air. Dogs were brought in. Bloodhounds followed Brandon's scent for approximately 3 miles. The trail moved west and northwest along field roads. Eventually, it reached an abandoned farm. Then it continued toward the Yellow Medicine River. According to reports, the scent appeared to enter the river. That detail immediately drew attention. During the phone call, Brandon had reportedly mentioned hearing water nearby. He had also mentioned crossing fences while walking. Those details seemed consistent with the environment investigators were now examining. Naturally, one possibility emerged. Had Brandon accidentally fallen into the river? Search efforts intensified. Resources were deployed along the Yellow Medicine River. Boats were brought in. Authorities installed gates. Deputies searched the riverbanks. Horses and all-terrain vehicles combed the surrounding land. In some locations, the river had reportedly been around 10 feet deep on the morning Brandon disappeared. Yet despite extensive searching, no evidence of Brandon was found. No clothing, no belongings, no remains, nothing. As weeks turned into months, the mystery only deepened. Most official searches eventually slowed down. But Brandon's family never stopped looking. Sheriff Jack Vasecki reportedly continued walking sections of the river for weeks after the disappearance. Brandon's parents left their porch light on every night as a symbol of hope that he would one day return home. Years passed. The searches continued. Fields that had previously been inaccessible were searched after harvest. Dogs continued tracking scents. Additional areas northwest of Porter were examined. By 2011, approximately 122 square miles had been searched. Still, investigators found no trace of Brandon Swanson. In 2010, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension became the lead agency on the case. Tips continued to come in. By 2015, authorities had received dozens of leads, yet none provided the missing piece investigators desperately needed. And that missing piece remains at the center of the mystery today. Did Brandon accidentally enter the Yellow Medicine River and somehow evade every search that followed? His mother has long expressed doubts about that theory. According to reports, one of the tracking dogs appeared to continue following Brandon's scent beyond the river before eventually losing it near a gravel road. Could he have intentionally disappeared? His parents do not believe so. Could foul play have been involved? Investigators have never ruled it out, but they have never found evidence proving it either. And that uncertainty is what makes this case so difficult to forget. Because unlike many disappearances, we know exactly where Brandon was when the mystery began. We know he was talking to his father. We know he was walking through the darkness. We know he was trying to find his way home. And we know the exact moment something happened. A single sentence, 2 words. Oh, shit. Somewhere beyond those words lies the answer to what happened to Brandon Swanson. But until that answer is found, one of the most